You're gonna get the shrimp frozen just like this. You're gonna make sure and count 12 pieces. Now to defrost your shrimp, it goes pretty quick. You're gonna run it under some warm water. So turn on the water, kind of rinse it off a little bit, fill up your bowl, and then after that, you let it sit for a second, kind of stir it around with your hands, and then you want to drain off most of the water. Now, in this video, I can only use one hand because I'm holding the camera, but use both hands, get all the water out of that bowl, and then fill it up again with warm water. At this point, just let it sit there in the bowl for like 5 minutes while you get the rest of your mise en place. You're gonna rinse your lemon under water, making sure to kind of rub it with your hands to get off any dirt. You also wanna make sure and peel off the sticker from the lemon. You want about 1/4 cup of chopped parsley. In order to get that, you want about 8 stems of parsley. So count about 8 stems and then rinse them under cool water. It's important it's cool and not warm because if it's too hot, it'll wilt the parsley. Here I'm zesting the lemon. You do this by getting a microplane or a zester. That's the piece of equipment I have in my hand right now. And you're gonna rub the outside of the skin, just the yellow part. You don't wanna go too far, so you only wanna rub it on the same place one time. The white is actually really bitter. It's called the pith. You don't want that. The outer peel of the lemon is actually really bright and beautiful flavor. It's great to cook with. It's great to add into desserts. So we're going to use some of that today to give us a lemon flavor without it being too sour like the juice. Make sure to turn your zester around because a lot of the zest gets stuck on the backside. So get your rubber scraper and scrape all that into your bowl, making sure not to waste any of it. That's so much flavor. Using the same microplane, you're gonna get your 4 cloves of garlic and you're gonna finely grate them on this. Now, you have to be so careful with your fingers, guys. This is sharp. So once you get to the end where your finger is almost touching it, where you don't have a lot of room to grasp the clove of garlic, you want to just discard that last piece because it's not worth cutting yourself or cutting your nail on that. Now, you're gonna wanna make sure and scrape down the same way you did with the lemon. Scrape all that garlic into your bowl. And then it all gets stuck on the back side. So get your rubber scraper, scrape it all out into your bowl. Don't waste any of that. You're gonna want to peel the leaves off of the parsley. Now you don't want the thick stem. You can have a little bit of stem in there, but for the most part, try to just get the leaves off and they're pretty easy to pull off. And then we're about to chop them here in a second. You can discard the stems. You should have a trash bowl in your kitchen, so go ahead and use that. Taking your parsley leaves, you're gonna kind of group them together with your hand and you're going to cut it with your chef's knife into pretty small pieces. We're looking for a chop. So you're gonna go one way, turn it the other way, chop over and over again until it's as small as you want it. You want them decently small, not quite a mince, but small pieces. The lemon that we zested earlier, you're gonna roll it on the countertop with your hand. You're gonna kind of press on it pretty hard. This is gonna release the juices from the lemon. Then you're gonna take your knife, cut it in half, and with a bowl, and you have a small strainer. All of you should have one of these in your kitchen. Look in all the drawers. You're gonna squeeze the lemon directly over that, and it's gonna catch any seeds that would fall into there. Now, guys, you need to squeeze it over and over and over again. Turn it sideways. Use your hand, both of your hands. Probably for about 30 seconds. Go ahead and squeeze it, making sure to get every bit of juice out of there, and then shake the strainer off. Measure out your lemon juice. You should have a tablespoon. Mine was a tiny bit short, so I squeezed a tiny bit more of the other half of lemon. If you need to do that, just put the strainer back onto the bowl, squeeze a little bit more, and be careful. As you can see here, there's kind of lemon juice squirting all over the place. Just make sure not to get it like in your eye or in your face. We need 4 tablespoons of butter, which is the equivalent to half of a stick of butter. So you're just gonna cut it right in half, and then you're gonna try to get it out of the paper. To weigh out the pasta, you're gonna put a plate on top of the scale, and then you're gonna push on. Since the plate was already on there, it automatically cleared to 0. So if I lift it up and put it back down, it's 0. We don't want the actual weight of the plate, we just want the weight of the pasta. So you get your angel hair pasta, which is what we're doing today, and we're looking for 6 ounces specifically. So put some on there and see what you're looking at. I'm like 4.5 right here, so that means I need to add some more pasta. Make sure it's measuring in ounces. On the bottom right, it says OZ. We don't want grams, we want ounces. So I added some more. Shrimp that I drained the water out of, the salt, our pure olive oil, the Old Bay seasoning is on top of the salt. There's the garlic and the lemon that we zested. We have our chopped parsley, our half of a stick of butter, red pepper flakes, lemon juice is in that bowl. Behind it is the angel hair pasta that we weighed out. And then I have my cheese off to the side. To measure the Old Bay seasoning, you're going to want to actually open the entire lid so that you can stick your measuring spoons in there. We want 3/4 of a teaspoon of Old Bay seasoning. In order to get that, you need to use the half of a teaspoon and the 1/4 of a teaspoon. You measure both of those amounts and that equals 3/4. You're gonna pour that directly into your shrimp and give it a really good stir, making sure to coat every bit of that shrimp. It should look like this in the picture. Taking a medium or a large saute pan, heat it on the stove for 2 minutes by itself at a medium-high heat, number 7. Once it's been heating for 2 minutes, then you go ahead and add your 2 tablespoons of oil to the pan, making sure the oil is evenly distributed throughout the pan. Then you're going to take 1 shrimp and tip it in there. You want to see if it sizzles. If it sizzles, it's ready. Go ahead and drop all your shrimp in there, making sure to get a rubber scraper and scrape out all of that seasoning from the bowl. That's all the flavor that we want in our pan. Make sure the shrimp is in an even layer, meaning none of them are on top of each other. They're all spread out evenly. And you want to cook them on the first side for 1 minute. Seriously, set a timer if you have to. Shrimp overcooks really, really quickly, and you do not want to overcook it. So once it's been a minute, turn them around to the other side. You can tell they're ready to turn also because they start to turn this like light orange pink color instead of a gray color. That means you know they're ready to turn. So once each of them has been turned, set another timer for 1 minute. They honestly don't even take that long. You could probably wait 30 seconds, making sure they're in an even layer. And then you want to remove them from the pan onto a clean plate to cool off. Soon as all of the shrimp are out of the pan, you want to turn your temperature down to number 4 and take the pan off of the heat while you get the next things ready. At this point, you can go ahead and your pasta water should be boiling. So add your tablespoon of salt and then add in your pasta. So push it in. This will take you a couple seconds, making sure all the pasta is submerged in the water. It's under the water. And then you want to set a timer for 4 minutes. That's according to our package instructions. It says 3 to 5. We're doing 4 minutes. And you want to stir it around, making sure none of the pasta sticks. This cooks really fast. So in your saute pan, put it back on the heat and then get your garlic that we grated and your red pepper flakes and mix them really well. We're trying to get out all the chunks of garlic so that it cooks evenly in the pan. You're going to want to go ahead and add your butter at this point as well. That's a half of a stick, and then you want to wait for it to melt. Once the butter is melted, you can go ahead and add your lemon zest, your lemon juice, and the parsley, and turn off the heat at this point. Everything is cooked. You don't need any more heat. You don't want the parsley to wilt down too much. Give it a really good stir. And then as soon as it's stirred really well, add the shrimp back to the pan, making sure to scrape out any of those juices that were on the pan. It's cooked, and that's, again, a lot of flavor. So remove it from the heat at this point. Your pasta should be almost done cooking. As soon as the pasta's done cooking, you're going to want to take it off of the heat using some tongs to scoop the pasta out of your pot and put it directly into the pan with your shrimp and all the sauce. Now the pasta is still really hot, so it's going to immediately suck up and absorb all the juices that are in the pan with your shrimp, that butter, garlic, olive oil, lemon juice. Stir it around really quick. This should not take long at all, and then most of the juices will be absorbed. Now, your pasta has a possibility of drying out. So I had to add more than half of a cup of water at this point. So I would suggest having some water just ready from the sink to add it in there so that your pasta is not dry. You're going to remove the pasta to a plate. and you're going to want to add the cheese, making sure the cheese is not in one clump, because then it just clumps together and only one person gets cheese and the other persons don't get it. Once the cheese has been added, you can give it a really good stir and it's ready to serve. Make sure to taste it for seasoning, if you need any more water or if you need any more salt, anything like that, and you are ready to go.